probably should have ironed this shirt. Right. Hi everyone, I'm Emma and I wrote and illustrated, with the help of my daughter Lily, Luna the Space Leopard and Luna the Space Leopard 2. So I'll show you. So this one, that was the first one. So that one's been published by Bumblebee, and I'll just give you a quick sneak peek. And I have recently finished, sorry, you can't just see the top of my head. I have recently finished Luna the Space Leopard's little brother Io. Now this one isn't actually published yet. I've sent it to the publishers to see what they think. They've said that I should find out in 6 weeks, so if they don't want it, I will self-publish it on Amazon. And if they do, it will be a little bit smaller than that. I would have thought it would be the same as this one. I'll show you inside as well. Ding, ding, ding. So yeah. And I'm now currently working on book 3, which I think is going to be called Luna the Space Leopard and Intergalactic Holiday. So I will give you a quick sneak peek of that on my computer. I've done 5 pages so far. That's just allowing time to show you that. Right, I'll put these back. Lovely. So the reason why I'm making this video is because while I was working through book 1 and book 2, I struggled really bad with creative block, and I'm sure I'm not the only person that that's happened to. But halfway through book 2, I think I managed to figure out how to keep creative block at bay. So I wanted to share that with you because I think I would have found that really helpful when I was doing these books. Writing the story itself didn't actually take that long, I'd say a couple of days, but the drawings, I think especially because I'd never really used a digital media that much before, I was kind of learning as I go along. I think I was very scared to just go for it. And then I was having the same struggle really through the first half of book 2. But then I actually got an injury. I got a slipped disc doing yoga. And I don't know, something changed during that time. And the second half of the second book flew past. I would say that I did that second half in about 2 months, whereas the first half was like 10 months. And now I'm on book 3 and the process is just going so much quicker, and I just haven't had like creative block for ages, touch wood. I just wanted to share with you my 10 tips for keeping creative block at bay. I shall refer to my tablet because I have memory of a sieve. I have to make lists. That's kind of one of the tips. This kind of lights up my face from underneath, but never mind. Okay, I've literally taken a picture of my PC screen because technology. Okay, I'm going to turn the brightness down because yeah, that's better. Okay, but now I can't read it. Tip number 1, are your basic human needs being met? For example, if you are very tired or stressed or not eating properly, you're really going to struggle to be creative. I would like to refer you to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm actually going to Google that right now. Let's Google it. I should have done this in advance. I'm doing this now. So I just remember it from school. Right, I found it. At the bottom of the triangle, we have got physiological needs such as food, water, warmth, rest. Next up the list, safety needs, security, safety. Next one, relationships, friendships. And above that, you've got esteem needs, which is like prestige, feelings of accomplishment. At the top, we've got self-actualization, which is achieving one's full potential, including creative activities. So Maslow's, that's not gonna work. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Next on the list, you can't please all the people all the time. Do what brings you joy, and social media likes can be deceiving. Don't let them discourage you or affect your self-talk. So by that I mean, when I first started sharing my artwork on social media, I used to really consider what people would want to see rather than what I wanted to create. So it would be very like aesthetically pleasing. So on Instagram particularly, I would get like 300-400 likes within a couple of hours just on my nature sketches, and I really enjoyed making those, don't get me wrong, but at the same time it was just kind of very generic, and I wasn't really using my creativity so much. I had adapted my own style, but I don't know, it just didn't bring me as much joy as just like doodling cartoons does. So when I first started writing the book and illustrating it and sharing the pictures, it went down to like 5 likes, 10 at best, and it still is. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but at the same time I wasn't really getting anywhere with my nature art and pet portraits. Like, I'd kind of hit a brick wall with it. I just kind of have to accept that my work that I share now isn't to everybody's taste, but at the same time the publishers liked it and loads of kids enjoy my books and families, so that's kind of what really matters versus the social media aspect. I mean, maybe I'm doing social media wrong. Maybe my work is just terrible. I don't know. My point is, do what you enjoy, and there will be someone out there who loves it. Yeah, you can't please all of the people all of the time. You can only please some of the people some of the time, and it might as well be people who like what you like. Okay, more tea. Tip number 3. I was doing my first book and halfway through my second book. I wouldn't work on it unless I really felt like it, but the problem with doing that is sometimes it just doesn't. Like, you can go 2-3 months without feeling creative, and then it kind of like builds this pressure. Whereas now I have kind of a routine, so I say to myself, before the school run, before the kids are up, I'll get up and I'll just do half an hour before I have to get them ready for school. And it's amazing what you can actually get done in that half an hour. Then I'll get them ready, get them to school, and then I'll do another half an hour, and then I'll go out to work for a bit, because believe it or not, art doesn't really pay the bills. Yeah, I'll go to work for a little bit, and then I'll come back and I'll do another couple of hours. Even if you just kind of have to tell yourself it doesn't matter if it's not amazing, just do something, because even if you literally only do a little bit of shading or colouring or a rough sketch, it all amounts to something in the end, and before you know it, you've got a whole project done and it's on your shelf. So sometimes I find it's actually better to break things up into smaller chunks, because I would go to work all day, and because I have quite a physical job, I would get quite burnt out and I would get a bad back, and then I'd have days set aside just for my art, and again I'd get like burnt out with it and my back would start to hurt just sitting all the time. Whereas now I found that doing half days of work and then a half day of art, it kind of actually like keeps it fresh and stops me getting like burnt out or is injured. Tip number 4. Quitting is not always actually such a bad thing. I think it's drummed into us from childhood. Don't quit. You must always never quit. Actually, sometimes saying no to something can make space for something that you actually really want to say yes to. When one door closes, another door opens. So for me, most recently, I've been able to reduce my hours of work because I was getting very physically, well, I got a slipped disc, so I was forced to, because my job is a manual labour job, and I also was kind of forced to reduce the amount of exercise I do. Now obviously exercise is amazing for your health, but you can overdo it, and I was overdoing it. So in reducing that physical activity to a more manageable level, I've got a lot more time and energy for the art. Another thing that I've kind of said no to is taking my kids to clubs. Tried taking my daughter Lily to a football club because she said she wanted to do football. It just ended up being really stressful. She wasn't enjoying it. It kind of got like almost in the way of our relationship. Like we were squabbling and stressed, and it was using up so much time. It's like she would just stand in the middle of the field digging the mud while there was a match going on because she just didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. So yeah, I just said no to that. Instead, we just go out places as a family, like go for bike rides or take them to soft play, stuff like that. And there's no pressure then that you have to go on a Wednesday and a Saturday, and whether you've got a tummy bug or whatever. Sometimes you have to think about why you're doing these things. Like, are you just doing it because you feel like you should be doing these things? Like, I find it quite helpful to just write down all of my responsibilities, all of the things that I do, and ask the questions, do I really need to be doing this? And also, is there anyone that could help with it? Could I delegate these responsibilities a little bit, share the load, and free up space for the things that you really want to do? Tip number 5 is just to get everything out on paper. So sometimes you can have actually too many ideas that it's kind of overwhelming and you don't know where to start. So I find it quite helpful to either have like a Word document or notes on my phone, and whenever an idea comes to me, just put it on there. Also, that way you can kind of see everything that you want to do and you can pick and choose accordingly. Like if you've only got 20 minutes, like it's like, oh, I could do that, but I haven't got time for that, but I could do this today. Tip number 6 is to make your environment a nice place to be. So I have been quite lucky in that we have a shed in the garden. And yes, I'm in a shed right now, quite a small shed, but my husband very kindly, because this kind of was his space, my husband very kindly let me convert this into an art studio. And I managed to kind of do it on a bit of a budget. I got the floor from somebody that I work for, was looking to sell it, and very kindly gave me a really good price, and it's really nice quality flooring. We already had the sofa somewhere else in the house, which was kind of in the way there anyway. I had like a look around IKEA and I managed to get like these shelves. I think it was something like £7 a shelf, I can't remember exactly. I managed to throw this together at quite a budget, but I also realised that I'm really lucky to be able to do that and to have this space, and not everybody can. Through book 1, for example, I was sat at my husband's desk in his man cave in the house, and no offence to him, but it was just very like cabley and techy, and like it's hard to like motivate yourself in that environment if you feel like, yeah, that's no matter what you've got available to you, you can personalize it a little bit, whether it's just putting up a shelf with some inspiration or some work that you've done in the past to remind yourself what you've achieved so far, or a plant to give you extra oxygen and whatever plants do. You want to make the place like welcoming and light and colourful, or whatever you like. You sort of want it to be enticing to come and sit in. So other things that I find really helpful is to put on music. I'm not that keen on music with vocals in it because I find that can be actually sometimes quite distracting. So I love to listen to Stream Beats by Harris Heller, Lo-Fi Girl. You can find both of those on YouTube and I think like Amazon Music and stuff. Around autumn, I love to listen to instrumental jazz. So if you just go on YouTube and put like autumnal jazz, there's loads of stuff that comes up on there. Also listening to podcasts or other YouTubers you can put on in the background if it's not too distracting. If I'm not doing anything too challenging, like I'm just colouring or shading and doing highlights and stuff, like I can quite happily listen and watch things in the background. So I love to listen to the it called? Oh yeah, The Draftsman Show. So that's just two guys chatting to each other about all kind of art related topics. I also love to have Mariah Elizabeth on because she's just really funny and creative and just inspiring. Also, I find it can be quite helpful to listen to those things while I'm out in my other job, and then that kind of boosts my motivation while I'm doing that, so that when I get home I feel more inspired to create. Another thing I find very helpful is to have like a nice cup of tea or coffee. So I'll only treat myself to a nice tea or coffee once I'm sat down working on this. So I think it's called like temptation bundling. When you have something that you don't really want to do, but you mix it with something that you do want to do so that you look forward to it a little bit more. I am rambling. Tip number 7. Comparison is the thief of joy. You've most likely already heard that one. It's not really particularly original, but it's just so true, so I have to mention it. I think especially nowadays with the likes of social media, it's very easy to compare oneself against someone else's highlight reel. And I especially found that with art actually, when I was sharing stuff on Instagram. When you are trying to build a reputation on Instagram or anywhere, it's encouraged that you give other people likes, because obviously that's the nice thing to do. And you give people likes and you give people follows. But when I was doing that, I was like, oh god, their work's so much better than mine. And it was almost kind of demoralizing to spend hours doing that. And it was kind of pointless because I wasn't actually getting any more work through doing it, because essentially it was just me liking other artists and they were liking me, and no actual customers were seeing the posts. It was just other art, and it's nice to have that community, but it was kind of just not helpful. So yeah, I don't do that anymore. Now I just tend to, like, it's good to look for inspiration, or you know, if you follow people who you find motivational, inspirational, that is great. You just have to kind of go off how it's making you feel. So if it's making you feel a bit crap about your work and like you want to give up, then probably don't do that. If you're watching somebody's videos or looking at their pictures and it's like inspiring you, then that's great. Where am I on my list? So tip number 8 is to surround yourself with like-minded people. So if you've got creative friends or family, maybe you could collaborate or just do like fun stuff together that's arty and creative, like going and visiting galleries. Or if you don't know anybody that's creative, you could join a club, or you could just again watch YouTubers, podcasts, and just kind of get that just kind of absorb their mentality, kind of absorb their just kind of absorb their mentality. That has gone cold now. That is my ramble indicator right there. If it's gone cold, I've been talking for too long. I don't think this shed is actually level because I'm always rolling over that way. Bye. Tip number 9. Done is better than perfect. When I was working through book 1 and 2, there were loads of pages in it which I'm not happy with. I look back at them and I'm like, oh, that's not right, that's not right. But if I had let that stop me from finishing it and approaching publishers, like, this wouldn't be here now. So I'm going to show you what I mean. The first few pages, for example, I was really learning how to use digital media. So they are very rough and sketchy and messy compared to like the later pages where I'm starting to get the hang of things. I don't know if you would really notice so much because the pictures are much smaller than like I can see on my screen. When I look through this, I can see inconsistencies, like Luna's face changes a little bit because I'm sort of finding my style as I go, to be honest. But again, if I hadn't have just accepted it, like it will do, done is better than perfect, then this wouldn't be in my hand right now, and it wouldn't be on the websites that it's on. I don't know if anyone's actually buying it, but yeah. So tip number 10, and I think this is actually the best tip. I have saved the best till last. To rekindle your childhood joy for art. I think over the years we kind of forget how to have fun with art. When I think back to a kid, like I did art because I enjoyed it, not because I had to try and sell it or please anybody. I just created it because it was fun, and I think this is what really helped me for the last half of book 2. So as I mentioned before, I can't remember, I tell the same stories all the time, so I can't remember if I already told you. When I put my back out doing yoga and was off work for like 6 weeks, I had a lot of time to just kind of lie around because I couldn't really do much else. Like I could potter a little bit, but I couldn't really sit and I couldn't stand. I just was mostly just lying down because that was the only position that was comfortable. And thankfully I had this tablet and also over here a stylus. So I was able to just kind of recline on the sofa and sketch, because I'd actually bought this tablet quite a long time ago but hadn't used it for its intended purpose of illustration because I thought I'd actually prefer working at a PC. But I thought, do you know what, I've got nothing better to do while I've hurt my back. I am going to try out some of the apps that you can draw on. Has my chair gone down? Am I that heavy? I feel like I'm shrinking. Yeah, what did I try? I tried Pen Up and Clip Studio. Now I found Clip Studio was a little bit too technical for sort of having fun on. It's really good in that it's very much like Photoshop and much cheaper, but on a tablet, like it would be better on a PC, I think. For the tablet, I actually prefer Pen Up because it's a very simple app. You've got like your brushes on the side, the colours, and a few simple tools. Like it is easy to just pick up and use. I really like Pen Up. So while I was stuck on the sofa with only my tablet at hand, I decided randomly to try drawing. I would ask my friends, what are your like 5 favourite things? And I would try and draw them into a kind of a cartoon mashup. So for example, like this one, it was, oh, sorry man, the screen is shiny. That one was for my friend Penny. She likes giraffes and unicorns and hares and stars and coffee. So, and also, oh yeah, and nature walks. So I tried to combine all of Penny's favourite things into one cartoon. Then there was this one that was for my friend Becky, who likes, I think it was sea creatures, ferrets, oceans, mermaids, monkeys, Pepsi Max, something like that. I actually made little videos of them as well, so I will share them with you. Then there was this one for my friend Hannah, who likes cheese, wine, dogs, penguins and books. So obviously it's reading Luna the Space Leopard, the penguin. So we've got cheese, dog and penguin. And then there was this one that was for my friend Jonty from when we were on holiday, and he was emerging from the sea like a walrus. And the kids were running away, found it hilarious. I set myself a challenge when I did those. I set myself the challenge of I'm not allowed to get up and go for a wee until I've finished this drawing, which I know is a bit of a weird challenge. But as a mom, if you are a mom, you might be able to relate with that's kind of like not a very long time frame. But that just stopped me from kind of over fixating on perfectionism and to just go for it and just have fun with it. And I found by doing that, I actually kind of surprised myself that I could like create something from nothing. Because I kind of always felt like I had to have a reference to work from. It was actually like really liberating, and it was really helpful with illustration, because when you're creating a book, you are just literally creating something from nothing. So since then, I've actually been using this tablet a lot. So what I tend to do now is I will like sit on my sofa and I will sketch out rough sketches of, so for example, this is me doing a rough sketch on this tablet for book 2. So I'll just do that rough sketch, and then I take that and I transfer it to the PC, and then I do more refined line work. I do more refined line work on there, and the colouring and the highlighting, the shading, and putting it with all the words and everything on the PC. But I now love just doing the rough sketches on my tablet. What was my point? That tea is really cold now. Yeah, oh yeah. So my point was to rekindle your childhood joy for art by just doing fun activities that are for no reason other than just having fun. For example, with my kids, we love to play this game where one of you will draw the head, and then you fold over the top of the piece of paper and pass it on, and the next person draws the body, and then you fold it again, and then the last person draws the legs, and then you unravel it, and it just makes the most insane creatures that are just hilarious. There's also fun apps where you can be creative. Me and my daughter love to play Roblox together, and there's a few games like where I think it's called Speed Draw, and you have 3 minutes to draw something that from a prompt, and then there's like voting at the end as to who's the best. I can get a little bit competitive with that, I'm not gonna lie. But I've come to realise that people actually vote for the worst ones for whatever reason. And by that I mean there'll be ones that literally have done nothing to it, it's just a blank canvas, or they'll have just written the prompt or just done like a dot, and then there's me like drawing this like perfect rendition of Lilo and Stitch. So me and my daughter made like a mini art studio, because me and Elle were decorating this one, so we made Lily her own little kind of shoebox studio. That was kind of fun to just get like the PVA glue out, paper mache, and trying to build shelves out of bits of card, and they were like really wonky shelves that I made. Go and do things like paint a pot with your friends, just make it fun again. And I think watching other YouTubers who just do art for fun as well is a really good place to start with that. Yeah, so I kind of need the loo, so time to wrap up. I really hope that you found 1 or 2 of these tips helpful. Let me know in the comments if you did, or if you've got any tips. If I get enough ideas, I might be able to make a part 2 of this video. So yeah, thank you for listening to me ramble on for I don't know how long. Actually, no, I do know how long, because I did all this in one video, and I've been actually rambling for 52 minutes and 33 seconds. But I'm going to cut this right down, 10 minutes or something. I'll try. I don't know how to say goodbye. Bye. Hope you found this helpful. I'm going crazy now.